Hey free to play gang, welcome back to another video. So this is going to be a voiceover of how I feel is probably the best approach to the Reincarnation Tower. Now there are many sources that are going to give you really solid advice on how to ascend the tower. Like for example, iSummon did a really good and short video on how he did it, or rather what are some of his tactics that he used. So for example, at the start I've just been resetting my runs to make sure that I start off the fight with a Jeanne. I think Jeanne is probably like the best pick over here. And as you can see, I'm using her with just a Drew, and that's basically it. That's all you need. So the reason why Jeanne is so good is because she has a ton of stuns on her kit, and her second skill actually triple hits with not only just stuns, but AP absorb as well. So most of the time you're going to be able to gain another turn immediately so that you can throw another third skill just like that. And in a lot of situations at the start, that's going to be enough DPS for you alongside with a Drew to cleave through some of the earlier waves. Now there's not much to be said about the first 7 floors. You don't even need a full team of Espers to even beat all the way up to the 7th floor. So your goal right now is probably, in my opinion, to just focus on your Jeanne. I think Jeanne has a lot of potential upwards of I think maybe about floor 12 or so. Afterwards she kind of falls off a little bit. But in terms of like the generic rare Espers that you can find in the Esperhood shop, most of them will not stick around for very long. And it's not because their damage is bad, it's not because their stats are bad, but the main issue is their speed. So for example, Drew, I think he has about 91 speed or 93 or something like that. And most of the rare Espers are extremely slow, below 100 speed. And speed is key over here. And the reason why speed is key over here is because there are no relic boosts, no any kinds of enhancement effects or all of that in this tower. All you really have to rely on is your Espers and their tier upgrades. So for example, you have tier 1 Espers, and you have tier 2 Espers that require 2 tier 1 Espers, and you have tier 3 Espers that require 2 tier 2 Espers. But tiering up is extremely important, especially towards the later floors, because that would increase your base speed. And in this particular tower, speed is going to be extremely important. So some of the Espers that you might want to aim for, some of those Espers are Espers with at least 105 speed and above. And these Espers, most of the time, they should have AP push or AP reduction. But I'll get into that in just a little bit. So anyway, for the early game, especially from between floor 1 to about floor 9 or 10, your objective is rather simple. Just have like a couple of rare Espers that you're gonna work with for like the first 10 floors or so, and try not to upgrade any of them past tier 2. So that means just stop at tier 2, and that's probably a good place to stop. But in my opinion, I think it's still fine for you to max out your Jeanne, because it only costs you about 8 currency for you to fully upgrade her, and she's gonna be quite useful. So in my opinion, I do prefer to have my Jeanne at tier 3, well, at least before I hit like floor 10 or something like that. So that's it for the early game. Now between floor 8 to floor 12, that's kind of like the mid game, and that's where you're gonna find more epic Espers. So not all epic Espers are bad. So for example, some of the really good epic Espers, Pritzker is gonna be one of them. Although Pritzker is slightly on the slower end of 100 speed, he is still pretty decent as long as you have some kind of AP push. So apart from Pritzker, Bonnie is also pretty good. She has 105 speed, and it's very easy for you to get upgrades on her to reach like I think 108 speed. And what she does is she cooldown resets the enemy's lineup. And some other really great picks is, for example, Li Guang. Li Guang has 106 speed, the highest base speed, okay, or rather the second highest base speed in the game. And she also brings a 15% AP push, which is good enough in most situations. So all you need is just about 10% AP push, and the rest of your team is going to move ahead of the enemy's lineup. But this is not always the case, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. Now another really solid pick is going to be Jiangman. I think Jiangman is probably one of the best picks that you can get, just by the sheer damage that she can do, and the fact that her debuffs do not need accuracy to land. So even if she receives a miss rate up, she's still gonna perform as good as she should. Now as you can see over here, this loser actually managed to luck out on a Clara, which is a superb pull for the early game. And obviously the reason why she is so good is because she has a really good base speed of 106, and she has an AP push on her kit as well. Well, alongside that, there is also immunity, there is also shield and all that good stuff. But in terms of the tower, the most important thing is probably going to be the AP push, and secondary being the immunity. Now, if you're not able to find a Clara and you encounter a floor where you are going to be outsped, like let's say they have a Bonnie, they have some other dangerous Espers on their lineup, maybe they even have a Liling, right? Because if a Liling enters the room, you're kind of screwed because he starts off with 105 plus 1 speed, which is 106, and he's definitely going to AP reduce your team and AP push his own team. So if you do encounter a floor like this, don't worry about it. This is when you can refresh the shop. So you can refresh the shop for 2 currency a pop, and you have an opportunity for you to cycle through the shop to make sure that you find something like, let's say, a Li Guang. Li Guang is going to be an awesome pick as well. She has 106 base speed, and if you manage to get 2 copies of her, that is going to give you 107 base speed, which is going to outspeed not just the Li Ling, but to also allow the rest of your team to move up to 100% AP. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated. But before we get into that, let's take a look at some of the other really good picks that you can obtain in the Esperhood shop. So another one is going to be Ashley. Ashley is an insane pick. If you do get her, she is crazy good. She has 106 speed and she has AP reduction. Well, I don't think that she's on the same level as a Li Ling. I think Li Ling is an even better pick. But she's still going to be really good because she has the potential to give your team attack buff, which is going to help you with the cleaving. And secondly, she has an AoE stun as well, depending on what you need. Now pay attention to what I'm doing on the screen right here. I'm putting Ashley to the left of Clara, and this is very important because they both have the same speed. So then how do you determine which Esper moves first? The Esper on the left always moves first as long as they have the exact same speed. Now the reason why you want Ashley to move first instead of your Clara is because AP reduction is slightly better than AP push in this content. Now the reason why I say that is because there is going to be a lot of situations where you are going to match speed with the enemy, right? Your team is going to have the exact same speed as the fastest enemy on the other side. And the problem with that is if you AP push, the enemy is still going to move second. He's not going to be outsped by the rest of your teammates even though you push their AP. Your allies are just going to be at 100%, but the thing is the game already decided who is going to move next by the stack. And the stack is determined not by who has above 100% AP, but who has 100% AP first. So in situations where you match speed with the enemy, it is very important for you to then reduce their AP so that your team can then gain that AP push and hit 100% because you already kicked the enemy Esper out of the stack. Anyway, for the rest of the field floors, all the way until 15 from here on, all you really need to do is to just check the Esperhood shop if there is anything for you to upgrade with. If not, just continue progressing. What you need to have right now is to outspeed everyone with a faster AP pusher or an AP reducer. So some of the really good options like I mentioned before, right, like Li Guang for example, or maybe even Clara, Li Ling, and Ashley. But there are some other really good options as well, like for example Tricky with 107 speed, and Gabrielle with 106 speed as well, who are really great initiators. So these are all some of your best picks. So just try to aim for like an AP pusher or something that has at least 105 speed and you're usually good to go. So as long as you're able to outspeed the opposing side, you do not need to buy more stuff from the Esperhood shop. You can just conserve until you reach a point where you really need to find more Espers. But obviously not every single run is going to lead to a complete clear. There will be a situation where you encounter an early game Li Ling and that's going to kill you entirely because Li Ling is going to deal so much damage to you and you're probably not going to be able to survive or find the right Esper to counter attack. And if you reach these situations, what I would recommend for you to do is to just refresh the shop. Just keep refreshing until you find AP pushers and hopefully additional copies of these AP pushers or AP reducers so that your base speed is a little bit higher. Otherwise, your run is probably going to end over here. Now the thing is, if you do not need some of the Espers that you had, like for example, if you are done using Drew, right, you reach a point where you do not need him anymore because he's like crit reliant and all that, or they are just simply better Espers on your roster, like for example, if you have AoE Espers like Zora, or maybe even Gaius the God, then you really do not need some of these rare Espers anymore. And what you can do is you can just sell them over at the shop. Now you can only sell them for upwards of 3 currency per pop, which means that if you have a tier 1 rare Esper, you're going to sell it for 2 currency, which is whatever that you purchased him with. So it's a 1-to-1 return. Or if you bought an epic Esper for 3 currency, you can sell the epic Esper again for 3 currency. But if you do upgrade your rare Esper with like let's say another copy, so your total spend 4 currency for a tier 2 rare Esper, you can only sell him back for 3 currencies. So just a quick summary of everything you really need to do. So step 1, just run with a Jeanne at the start, right? She's gonna be the best pick for you in the early game and probably a DPS Esper like Drew or maybe even Tang Yun. And then moving on, try not to refresh the shop so soon. Just try to make sure that you get your hold of like maybe a Li Guang or something at the early game and you're set for quite a long period of time. But if you're unlucky and you reach a stage where you're going to be outsped by an AP pusher or Espers that have higher base speed than you and you know that they are going to cause a lot of havoc for you, let's say you have a Gabrielle or Li Ling or something like that, then this is when you start to refresh the shop to make sure that you find something that is well worth your time. And if you're able to find something to clear the shop, let's say you're able to find that one ideal Esper for you to AP push, AP reduce, all that kind of good stuff, then you can carry on that way. But if you're really stuck with nothing else left, you can just try to sell some of the Espers that you had in the past, like some of the rare Espers that you no longer need. and try to refresh the shop again to see whether you're able to obtain anything else. Now if all else fails, it doesn't hurt to just reset the tower, it's free anyway. And ideally, if you do not need to refresh, then do not refresh, because you only need to refresh if you are stuck, and that's basically it. So just aim for some of the aspects that I talked about and you should be fine, right? So just make sure that you focus a lot on AoE DPS aspects as well. They are going to make sure that you clear the run super easily, super smoothly. So that's basically it for this guide on the Reincarnation Tower. I think it's pretty fun. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about the tower. Do you want to see more of this? Do you want to see more of me playing this content? Maybe in a live stream or something like that. Let me know down in the comments below and I will get back to you and I will just, figure out what we can do moving on forward from here. Anyway, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Daddy Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.